Arman Tsarukyan did not hide his excitement when talking about what he's been witnessing up close in Khamzat Chimaev's training. According to him, the Wolf is simply dominating every challenge that comes his way, to the point of facing 10 different sparring partners in a row, and still keeping absolute control of each situation. Even with so many questions in the air about how far Chimaev can go, Tsarukyan, who is living the daily camp routine in the United States, has been a privileged source of information about this intense preparation. During a conversation with the press, Arman described one of the most recent sessions, where Chimaev completed 10 consecutive rounds against constantly fresh opponents. This method, known as the shark tank, is used to push the fighter to the physical and mental limit, since new partners come in rested to apply constant pressure. The curious thing is that for Chimaev, this constant pressure doesn't seem to be a problem. On the contrary, he seems to feed on it. Have you seen him? It was just like that. Every single training day, he's been torturing everyone, choking and breaking everyone. He's in good shape, and on top of all that, everything is okay with the weight too. No injuries that could distract him. He is healthy. That's the most important thing. That's what we need to maintain until the weigh-ins and the fight itself. Tsarukyan's account reveals that, in addition to being technically sharp, Chimaev is in good health and has his weight under control, factors that can make all the difference on fight night. And that's not all. Recently, Boers himself said he's taking extra precautions to eliminate any risk of setbacks during preparation. In an interview with ESPN MMA, he revealed he's avoiding any situation that could cause illness or infection, precisely to ensure he steps into the octagon with his body and mind in perfect condition to execute his strategy and go for the win. This obsession with details, combined with high-level preparation, is turning Chimaev into an even more dangerous opponent. And, by all indications, each training session only boosts his confidence that he's ready for any challenge. Daniel Cormier had privileged access to the behind-the-scenes of Khamzat Chimaev's preparation for UFC 319 and came away impressed with what he saw. For many analysts, the script for the fight against Dricus to Plessis seems predictable. If the fight goes past the first 2 rounds, the chances favor the champion. But if it ends quickly, the belt might change hands. Chimaev, however, is clearly determined to break that logic, training to maintain the same level of aggression and dominance even if the fight goes into territories he has never explored in professional MMA. If Chimaev had an issue, it would be the cardio, or at least it seemed to be. In the Gilbert Burns fight, it looked like he slowed down. Dude, I saw a video. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me when I tell you this. In every wrestling facility in the world, you will find an airdyne bike. The most difficult thing in the world to conquer, because you can't conquer them. It is an opponent you can't beat. It is the hardest thing in the world. Cormier's words make it clear that Chimaev's focus has been to directly attack what many considered his biggest weakness: cardio. The airdyne bike, famous for being one of the most challenging endurance machines ever created, has been used for decades in wrestling and MMA training centers, precisely because it demands maximum and constant effort. Most athletes start gasping for air after a few minutes, but Chimaev decided to go beyond. As hard as that thing is, I saw Khamzat Chimaev, who many thought had a cardio issue, doing the airdyne bike. Instead of taking that unbeatable piece of equipment that we have all used for 30 years, Coach Cal and Khamzat Chimaev decide that it is not enough resistance. So now Khamzat Chimaev is taking that unbeatable piece of equipment. Guys, Coach Cal and him have now taken resistance bands and put them on the bars of the airdyne bike to make the airdyne bike harder. Every great fighter you know, the whole Mount Rushmore, has tried to beat the airdyne bike and have all been unsuccessful. In other words, Chimaev is not only facing one of the most brutal training tools known, but he's raising the difficulty to an almost insane level, adding extra resistance to force his body to withstand pressures that, in theory, would be impossible to sustain. For Cormier, this is a sign that Boers is preparing for a total war scenario, a fight where, even if the champion's gas tank is tested to the limit, he will have answers and won't slow down. This mindset could be the key to changing the narrative about his supposed physical limitation and turning a potential weakness into one of the most dangerous weapons in his arsenal. Dricus to Plessis wasted no time in taking jabs at Khamzat Chimaev before their highly anticipated clash at UFC 319. The champion made it clear he's not buying into the idea that his best chance of winning is only in the later rounds, but admitted there's still an unknown in the challenger's game: his endurance over 5 intense rounds. According to him, this is precisely the point where Chimaev might be questioning himself internally, and that doubt could directly influence how the Wolf approaches the fight. During his appearance on the UFC Unfiltered podcast, while preparing for his 3rd title defense, du Plessis analyzed the situation with surgical precision. For him, the experience gained in long battles not only strengthens the body, but also shapes a champion's mindset, and that's where he believes he has the edge over Chimaev. You know, experience plays its role, being there for 5 rounds. In your head, you know that you haven't been able to fight at the pace you want to once the 3rd round comes. Now you know you have to fight that 5th round. Doing it in training is completely different. Now you're in a fight, you know. What do I do if this goes 5 rounds? So, are you going to conserve energy in the 1st and 2nd? Then you are not fighting your fight. We saw with the Whittaker fight, he's not going to do that. He went out full speed once again. In his mind, he has the doubt. I don't have the doubt because I went full speed with Strickland in the 1st and 2nd fight and won the decision. The same thing with Adesanya. I got the 4th round finish. I know I can go in there and push the pace for 5 rounds, if I have to. The message is clear. Du Plessis believes that no matter how hard Chimaev trains, the real test is inside the octagon, under pressure, with a title on the line, and fatigue eating away at every move. He himself has already proven that he can maintain a relentless pace and win both by decision and by knockout in later rounds. Now the big question is whether the challenger can respond the same way when the fight enters uncharted territory for him. And putting all these pieces together, the stage for UFC 319 is electrifying. On one side, we have a Khamzat Chimaev, who, according to Arman Tsarukyan, is simply steamrolling everyone in camp, going through 10 sparring partners as if they were training obstacles and maintaining impeccable physical condition. On the other, there's Daniel Cormier's perspective, who saw with his own eyes Chimaev's insane work to reinforce his conditioning. If before there were doubts about his gas tank, now he's tackling the feared Airdyne bike, and even adding extra resistance to make it practically impossible to tame. This could mean that, for the first time, we might see a Boers prepared not only for the opening storm, but also for a 5-round war. But then comes Dricus du Plessis, who isn't intimidated by any of that, and says the challenger carries deep down a doubt about his own ability to maintain the pace until the end. He guarantees that experience matters, that he's been in that mental and physical arena before, and that he knows exactly how to handle it when the body begs for air and the clock seems to stand still. In his view, this is the territory where champions survive and the unrefined fall. And that raises the question, if Khamzat Chimaev is already a monster when he's not at his best, what can we expect from him fully healthy, injury-free, and with an endless gas tank? We're talking about an athlete who not only endures 10 rounds against fresh opponents, but dominates them all. This kind of account isn't common in MMA, and when it appears, it usually means something truly special might happen on fight night. Now, imagine this: 10 guys, each coming in fresh with the mission to wear down and exhaust Khamzat. And him, still there, steady, attacking, suffocating, finishing. This is the kind of scenario that creates the mystique of an almost unbeatable fighter. And that's exactly what makes the atmosphere for August 16 even more electrifying. Will we see the most prepared Khamzat of all time? Will this insane training intensity translate into a historic performance inside the octagon? Or could all this pressure backfire on him? The fact is, when an athlete at this level, with this hunger for victory and this confidence, steps into the cage, anything can happen. And usually, it's nothing good for the one standing across from him. So, here's an invitation. Leave your comment on what you think. Do you believe Khamzat Chimaev will steamroll on fight night like he has in training? Or do you think, even with all this preparation, he could still face difficulties? I want to hear your opinion, because this discussion will go on until the moment the bell rings. Thanks for reading. See you in the next one.